Ladies and gentlemen, is Kenya's most dangerous political showdown about to begin? This showdown between Edwin Sifuna and President William Ruto.
Mimi najua Kenya hii, it cannot afford another 5 years of William Ruto. It cannot afford another year of William Ruto. Na nataka nimalizie kwa kusema, kwa sababu mmesikia watu wakisema hapa Sifuna anaelekezewa maneno. Hii vita yote unasikia nikipigwa ndani ya chama cha ODM ni kwa sababu moja tu. Nimesema Ruto one term.
Wakati unaongea mambo yangu Sifuna, ujue mimi ndio mwanzilishi wa ODM. So naenda polepole kidogo. Yes. Sisi ndio tulianza hii kitu. Ama namna gani? Na unajua ukinisukuma sana nitaitisha mkutano ya founder members ya ODM. Sindio? Unajua tukiitisha hiyo mkutano tunaweza kufanyia discipline sisi ambao tulianza chama.
Because clearly the 2027 presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya is turning out to be a two-horse race between William Ruto and Edwin Sifuna. I know there are also other candidates, very strong ones, like Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. But the real showdown is going to be between Edwin Sifuna and William Samoei Ruto.
Yeye bora apewe pesa. Bora Ruto apewe pesa. Anaweza kutuuza sisi wote kwa shetani mwenyewe. Unajua wakati alipeleka polisi wetu Haiti, ilikuwa kwa sababu alipewa nini? Alipewa pesa, si ndio? Saa hii amepewa pesa na Marekani, wanamwambia Marekani wenyewe wanasema tunajua wale watu wako na hiyo ugonjwa wa Ebola ni watu wetu. They are American citizens. But they are not being allowed back into their own country. Because the American people need to be protected from Ebola. Then there is this character somewhere. Mwenye akipewa 1.7 billion shillings. Anasema leta hiyo watu.
Nilisikia jamaa mwingine juzi amesema bahati mbaya akipata uongozi ati ata cancel SHA. Huyo ni fala, si fala. Fala sana bana. Yani imagine. Yani ati turudi pale kwa kufanya harambee ati mtu akiwa mgonjwa. Mnasema turudi pale? Ati pale turudi ati mahali ambapo NHIF ilikuwa inaibiwa usiku na mchana. Ati tunalipia mambo ya fake claims. Ati pale mahali tulikuwa tunafanya ati upasuaji wa watu ambao hawako. Ati tunalipia, I mean, really? You know? God forbid. Yeah? Ati if such a person can become anything in the Republic of Kenya. I don't know what position he's running for. I don't know what he wants to be. But God forbid. Sijui kama tunaelewana jameni.
And there are few facts about the two individuals. For William Ruto, he has never lost any election since he began his politics. For Edwin Sifuna, he was baptized by a loss. He was actually rejected by his own people of Kandui. Raila had to remove him from Kandui to Nairobi. So that's something which is very clear. Another fact about the two is that both of them love populist politics. Edwin Sifuna plays populist politics. William Ruto plays populist politics. That's why even right now, William Ruto is the president, but you cannot still understand why he's still sticking to populist politics.
Wakati ambapo tutachukua uongozi wa taifa hii chini ya miezi 14, kitu ya kwanza ni kukata budget ya State House. Inawezekanaje? Wewe unabadilisha mabati ya State House kila wiki kwa sababu uko na pesa ya wananchi.
Kwa sababu hawana mpango. Wale jamaa wako na sponsor. Sponsor mwenyewe hajawapatia syllabus. Sasa ametuma tu hawa na sasa ndio unaona wanahangaika hapa. Kwa sababu sponsor mwenyewe alishindwa kufanya ile mimi nimefanya. Mimi nataka niwaulize nyinyi watu wa Bungoma. Hii Bungoma si mambo ya stadium mimi nimejenga.
Ladies and gentlemen, In this video, I want to talk about why the 2027 presidential election is going to be the most dangerous political showdown in the history of the Republic of Kenya. Number one, and this is something I keep on saying, the money factor. The 2027 election in the history of the Republic of Kenya is going to be the most expensive presidential election in the history of the Republic. But you're having two individuals, William Ruto, who has the money, and Edwin Sifuna, who does not have the money. So I want you to visualize a situation where we have two candidates, one with the money, the other without the money. But money is going to be a major factor. So who's going to win? For William Ruto, he's safe. He will be able to play money politics. For Edwin Sifuna, he's also very safe because most Kenyans know and understand that he doesn't have the money, which means they can easily fundraise for him. So it will depend with how he's going to persuade Kenyans. But at the end of the day, we've seen Kenyans raising money for Edwin Sifuna because Kenyans themselves understand that the election is going to be very expensive. It's not going to be easy. But will this mean that those with money will bank their bet with Sifuna? There's something which I keep on saying, that there is an Uhuru Kenyatta's hand in Edwin Sifuna. And that's going to play a major role for Edwin Sifuna's politics moving forward. Uhuru Kenyatta has the deep pocket. He can compete with Ruto. Uhuru Kenyatta, apart from the deep pocket, he has friends. Uhuru Kenyatta can easily round up the Mount Kenya Foundation guys, and they'll place money for Sifuna. So this is going to be very interesting moving forward. Money is going to be a major factor in this election. Number two, the ODM support basis. You look at Ruto, you look at Sifuna. Both of them are not in ODM as we speak, but they have an history with ODM. William Ruto was one of Raila Odinga's key supporters in 2007. He even went to ICC. He was one of the ODM deputy party leaders. And therefore, it's very difficult to divorce Ruto from ODM. For Sifuna, he's the immediate former Secretary General of the party, served as the SG after a coup for 8 good years. By the time he was leaving ODM, Sifuna had established himself as one of the voices around Raila Odinga. As fate would have it, both Sifuna and Babu, both Sifuna and Ruto were actually kicked out of ODM party. So which means both of them in 2027 are going to depend on the ODM support base. For William Ruto to survive politically, he must get the support of the ODM support base. For Sifuna to survive politically, he must also win the support of the ODM support base. And that can explain the bitter contest we witnessed over the weekend in Homa Bay. So between the two, who will be able to control the ODM support base? We have the Luo Nyanza, we have the Loya, and the coastal region, and of course, the northeastern Kenya. Who amongst the two? So we are going to witness serious showdown between these guys in the ODM support base. And importantly, there is also the Gen Z factor in 2027. The young people in Kenya almost sent William Ruto home in 2024. In fact, the biggest headache the president is facing today is those young people. Sifuna stood with them during the Gen Z protest. Babu stood with them. So where will the Gen Zs vote? I'm 100% sure that William Ruto will try to do everything possible to either win the support of the young people or to contain them. For Sifuna, his movement is actually being powered by the young people. But will they sustain that momentum until 2027? Those are some of the questions which have been raised. How will the Gen Zs vote? Because the other day, we witnessed something very strange in Olkalau. The women and the elderly woke up and voted. The young people were not there. So will Sifuna be able to really persuade the young people to turn out? Or will the government do something which will ensure that even if these guys will not support them, then they will not turn up to vote? Very important. And importantly, there is the Mount Kenya factor in 2027. Mount Kenya is going to determine who becomes the president, whether you like it or not. And I can predict something which is going to happen, because I witnessed something yesterday. I'll come with that analysis. We are going to have 3 presidential candidates, strong ones. We are going to have Kalonzo, supported by Rigathi. We are going to have President Ruto, and we're also going to have Edwin Sifuna, supported by Uhuru Kenyatta. And all these guys will be competing for Mount Kenya support. Anybody who has been part of ODM actually understands the role of Sifuna, when Raila was still alive, Babu and Orengo, even after the death. What was the role of Edwin Sifuna for Uhuru Kenyatta in ODM? To ensure that ODM is split the way it does. Babu and Orengo, they're all to deal with the Luo factor. But now, for Sifuna, he also needs the mountain. For Ruto, he needs the mountain. The mountain is living, but he needs them. So what's going to happen? Ruto is going to ensure the mountain is divided. Mount Kenya east-west, and then after that, also Rigathi, Kalonzo, Uhuru, Sifuna, splitting it. So that none of them will get the 80% we witnessed in Olkalau. And maybe Ariran. And importantly, why this is going to be a major showdown is the rigging schemes. There is the fear that the 2027 elections are going to be rigged. And the Gen Zs are already coming up with strategies, the digital ones, on how to thwart the rigging. They actually experimented it in Olkalau. And the young people have the energy to even protect those votes physically. William Ruto has the state's machinery, which means he's able to gather intelligence, he's able to craft counter strategy. I mean, he will be controlling IBC. But will the determination of the young voters in Kenya to protect the vote succeed? I don't know what to think, but let us wait and see, because it's going to be very interesting. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.